Let's talk a little bit about fascia and our water and how adhered, stuck, dehydrated fascia creates problems in the body. So, this is part two, talking about fascia and pain and our mental emotional state, our nervous system. In the last video, we talked about how stuck, dehydrated, damaged fascia creates a obstacle for our ability to live pain-free, our ability to navigate stressors and have a resilient nervous system. What I'd like to talk about in this video is how water influences our fascia. Our fascia can become adhered, meaning that it becomes stuck and tight. It can create knots. And this tissue, this fascial tissue that's stuck, is dehydrated. There's not enough water in that tissue to keep it flowing, and it acts as an interference field to the flow of energy, whether that is the electrical conduction. Our fascia is piezoelectric. When it is deformed, it creates an electrical current, a flow, whether we're talking about the flow of protons through the tubules of our fascia. Our fascia is mostly connective tissue, which is mostly collagen. When you look at collagen, it creates a triple helix. It creates what researchers call tropocollagen nanotubules, very small tubules that are covered completely in organized water. This water that lines the outside of these fascial tubules and the inside of these tubules is a different organization than regular bulk water. And we see this throughout the body. As water comes in contact with our hydrophilic or water-loving surfaces, and this can be a cell membrane, it can be our mitochondria, it can be our fascia, and these fascial tubules, it can take on a different structure. Exclusion zone water, Professor Gerald Pollack and his team out of the University of Washington were the first to identify this different structure of water that occurs when water comes in contact with our water-loving surfaces. But this is something that researchers have been talking about for over 100 years. This different phase of liquid water that can hold energy. And that is what we see with this liquid crystal EZ water or exclusion zone water. This liquid crystal EZ water, as it forms on our cell membranes or on these tubules of fascia, it takes on a negative electrical charge. Our body, our cells run on a negative electrical charge. Our cells are anywhere from -40 to -90 millivolts per cell, depending on the cell type. When we lose that negative electrical charge, then we see problems start to arise in the function and health of our cells. And these collagen tubules are covered with this negative electrically charged water, this liquid crystalline EZ water. And not only is this water negatively charged, but it kicks out, as it grows, it kicks out a positively charged hydrogen or a proton and creates what researchers are calling a proton wire or a proton-rich zone. And this separation of charge in the water from this cell-bound liquid crystal negatively charged water and the positively charged water zone that forms right outside of it creates this separation of charge, like the separation of charge in a 9-volt battery, and holds potential energy. So when we're talking about the fascia and we're talking about these collagen tubules that span from our external layers of our skin all the way down to our most internal structures, our bones, we see that they are covered in this liquid crystalline water. And this water, as the water comes up to the fascia and starts to build as one layer of this liquid crystal EZ water forms, it acts as a template for more sheets to form, and it builds. The biggest driver in building this liquid crystal EZ water, in growing this liquid crystal EZ water, is infrared energy. The sun is our biggest source of infrared energy on this planet, but also movement. Remember, our fascia is piezoelectric. when it is deformed either by our own movement or from manual body work that is being done on our fascia, it creates an electrical charge. That electrical charge creates infrared energy, helping to build this water battery. And what Professor Pollack and his team out of the University of Washington did was they took a collagen tubule, they molded it, they put it immersed it in water, mimicking the environment we would find within us. They exposed it to infrared energy, and this easy liquid crystal water built on the outside of the tubule, on the inside of the tubule, creating that negatively charged water right against the fascial network, against that collagen, and created that separation of charge between that negatively charged water and that positively charged water, created that water battery. And what's incredible is that that water battery propelled the flow of water, of particles, and of protons throughout this collagen tubule. And as long as the infrared energy was present, that flow would continue. There was nothing else propelling that flow of water, just that water battery created by that liquid crystal water, that negatively charged water against the collagen, and that positively charged zone, that water battery, that potential energy created by that separation of charge. So when we have fascia that is adhered, that is stuck, it creates a interference field or an obstacle, a block in the flow of energy, electrical current, but also the flow through these nanotubules of protons, of fluid, of particles. When we press on our fascia, our fibroblasts release those fascial cells called fibroblasts that put down new fascia. They release hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid, a molecule of hyaluronic acid, is completely covered in this liquid crystal water. It brings new water to the area. When we're talking about how to have a healthy fascial system, and in the last video we talked about how this is intimately connected with our sensation of pain and our mental emotional health. Fascia has so many sensory nerves in it, running through it. And when that fascia becomes dehydrated, when it becomes stuck and adhered, it acts as a blockade for the healthy flow of energy through the fascia. And hydration is a wonderful way to affect this tissue. In the last video, we talked about how fascial maneuvers that we do with our own hands, with the help of a professional, body work, myofascial release, all those different things can be incredibly helpful when dealing with mental, emotional issues like anxiety, depression, nervous system dysregulation, pain, chronic pain cycles, but also hydration, making sure that our body is hydrated, making sure that we're getting some mineral content in our water that can drive that water intercellularly, making sure that that water has some energy in it. We can do that by placing it in the sun, placing it by our heart with some thoughts of coherence. We can do that by stirring the water. There are many different ways that we can do that, but adding energy to our water, adding minerals to our water, and movement. Movement is actually a wonderful way to hydrate our body and our fascial network. Absolutely incredible. Who would have thought that movement is hydrating? But it is. It's a wonderful way to hydrate the fascial system, to release hyaluronic acid and bring new water to the area. Anything that helps with mitochondrial function is another way. There's so many different ways in this beautiful interconnected system of the fascial network. I love sharing this information. Thank you so much for joining me, and please stay tuned for more.